Perhaps nothing echoes with eternity like a cemetery. As I've walked through this cemetery, I've been fascinated with some of the old gravestones and pondering the lives that they represented. I found some with moving words from a spouse to another, from a parent to a child, from a child to a father. I found some with religious sayings, "You're now in God's hands." I even came across one that said, "Gone fishing." Some of these tombstones date back from as early as the late 1800s. And I can't help but wonder what those lives represented. Did those folks struggle with the same things I struggle with? Did they ever contemplate the meaning of life? Did they wonder what their purpose was here? Did they find significance in those things that they put most of their talent and energy into? Looking at old tombstones, I can't help but recognize that entire lives are now reduced before me to 2 dates and one little dash. When you think about it, we don't have control over many things in life. We don't get to decide where we were born, who our parents are, or which time period and culture we face. We don't get to decide the dates on the gravestone. We don't know when our time on this earth will be up. It could be next week, or next year, or decades away. Only God knows. Our lives are in His hands. But there is one thing we have a vast amount of control over. We get to decide how we're going to use our dash. Each person's life really comes down to what transpired between those 2 dates. It comes down to what's in the dash. I look at the dash of a particular person's marker and wonder, what did he live for? Whom did she love? What were his passions? What was the biggest mistake or greatest regret of their life? Even as I stand here in the quiet peacefulness of this cemetery, I'm seeing cars drive by, people hustling about, moving from one thing to the next, and I wonder if they ever slow down, stop and contemplate the meaning of life, if they ever reflect and see if they're living their God-given purpose, if they ever evaluate the choice of their time, knowing that someday they'll end up here. What is the meaning of life? Am I spending my time in the most valuable way? Why am I here? Am I using the limited amount of time I have to make the maximum impact? Am I fulfilling my God-given purpose? In Psalm 90, verse 12, the psalmist says, "Teach us to number our days, that we might develop a heart of wisdom." We have a choice how we spend this most precious currency that God's given us. We don't determine the day that our life starts, and we sure don't determine when it ends. But we do determine what we do with the dash. So let me ask you, are you living the dash, experiencing life to its fullest expression? Or are you dashing to live, chasing from one thing to the next, not sure that those things you invest in are really going to have any type of lasting impact?